How do ships navigate the sea in the dark without bumping into other ships or sinking? One of the most difficult tasks that any sailor will ever do is to navigate a ship during nighttime, especially since most ship-to-ship collisions happen at night. For example, the famous crash and sinking of the Titanic on its maiden voyage, which happened at exactly 11:40 a.m. before midnight, all because the ship's crew did not see the iceberg far enough before the accident due to the total darkness of the ocean. Had it been daytime, they could have easily seen it and avoided it, but the will of God must happen. Of course, this isn't just limited to ships in earlier times or just in the past, because even though the methods of navigation in ships have evolved to a very high degree, to this day ships still have collisions and crashes, especially at night. An example of this is the cruise ship Costa Concordia in 2012, which deviated from its course at exactly 9:45 p.m. at night due to heavy clouds, which led to its arrival near the island of Gili in the Tuscan region of Italy. And there it hit a large rock protruding from the surface of the sea, which led to a 50-meter hole in the front of the ship, which led to its complete sinking, knowing that between it and the famous Titanic accident more than 100 years ago. Now this is where the billion-dollar question comes in, because $1 million is not a huge amount of money now. The question is, how do ships overcome this issue, and how do they avoid accidents at night? Before answering the question, please subscribe to the channel to support me to continue making more and more videos like this, and activate the notification bell so that you can receive my videos as soon as they are uploaded to the channel. And if you like the video, hit the like button to help it suggested to other users faster and faster. Now that you already done that, let's see how sailors avoid ship accidents while sailing at night. Usually we find that any means of transportation has lanterns on the front to illuminate the road while driving at night. Not only roads, but also trains and subways, which have very large light bulbs that make the driver clearly see everything around him, especially inside the tunnels. Do ships also have lanterns so that the sailor can clearly see everything in front of him while sailing? The answer is yes and no at the same time. I know you're nervous now and think I'm rambling, but let me explain what I mean. In the past, sailors used to attach lamps to the mast to light the way during night sailing, and these lights have two very important benefits for the ship and the crew. The first is to be able to see their surroundings and avoid any surprises that may arise at any time. The second is to mark the ship itself and to protect it from any other ship that might accidentally collide with it. And these lights were not only limited to ships in the seas, but it was also present in lighthouses, which were one of the most important means that helped ships to sail at night throughout the ages. For those who do not know what a lighthouse is, it is simply a high tower similar to the minaret of Muslim mosques. It is built on beaches, harbors, and islands in the middle of the water. At the end of it, a very powerful searchlight is installed that can be seen from tens of kilometers away, and it has another function other than guiding ships, which is to warn ships of weather fluctuations, huge rocks, and huge coral reefs in the place. To this day, despite the great advances in navigation technology, there are still thousands of lighthouses around the world that are still used today to guide ships. Despite all this, we still have a big problem. Lighting alone isn't enough to help a ship navigate at night. When you're in the open ocean and you're surrounded by water, you can't see any direction. There are no landmarks around you, nothing to guide you to anything, even if it's daytime, not just nighttime. Sailors at this time don't just need a light. They need someone or something to give them a line or a path to follow. Since water can never have a line to walk on, they are sailors, not magicians. Sailors were able to create imaginary lines on the seas to navigate using the compasses. Compasses which were not used on boats and ships at all, but once it was used, it played a very important role in determining precise directions. And even if you don't have a compass or it's broken for some reason, you still can use the North Star, which has a fixed position in the sky that doesn't change at all by pointing north. Of course, things have changed a lot since then. Sailors no longer rely on the traditional compass or the North Star as before, because there are now modern technologies that help ships both day and night, such as radar devices. For example, radars are like eyes with which you can determine if there's a rock in front of the ship, another ship in front of the ship, or an island in the middle of the ocean. In short, anything that can get in the way of the ship in any way. And that's not just on the surface in front of the ship, but also to measure the depths by sonar waves using sonar devices. It helps the ship to avoid any protruding rocks in the depths, coral reefs, or any object in general that could harm the ship from below. And of course, we don't forget the most important tool of all, which is GPS. These are systems that continuously pinpoint a ship's exact location on the map. These systems not only help the ship find its way around, but also determine determine the best paths and draw an imaginary line for them to follow with ease. It also determines the location of the other ships scattered throughout the ocean and their route of travel. So don't be surprised to learn that the ship's crew is currently commanding the ship from inside a locked room and not looking at anything outside. And that brings us to a very important question. Now we know that ships rely on GPS and advanced technology as eyes, flashlights, and a charted route to navigate the oceans. But still, if you look at any ship from the front, you will find many flashlights of different colors as if it were a nightclub and not a ship. So what is the use of all these colored flashlights? Despite all the modern methods that we talked about earlier, the colored flashlights at the front of the ship are one of the most important ways that sailors rely on at night. Not to give directions, not at all, but to give signals to other ships or small boats around them, just like car signals, like a ship going left or right or whatever. And each movement of the ship has a specific color known to all sailors in the ocean. For example, the green and red lights on the side of the ship are used to determine the width of the ship and the space it occupies in the water. Thus, ships coming from afar can determine its area and avoid it. There's also a light on the top of the mast. If it's on, it means the ship is traveling at a constant speed and direction. But if it is turned off, it means that the ship will deviate to the right or left, and of course it gives a signal. And as I said before, these colors are all agreed upon between all ships and have rules and regulations under the management of the International Maritime Organization. And any ship has to abide by all these standards as long as it's floating in international waters. If you've made it this far, know that I love you and that you have a special place in my heart. And that place will only grow by subscribing to the channel and activating the notification button. Don't forget to hit the like button so that I know how many people completed the video to the end. Thank you very much for your presence and your continuing support that helps me making more and more videos. See you soon with another answer to another post-midnight question and 12 a.m. questions.